Welcome, everybody, to Cycle Jerks Podcast, episode 115. Mike Stewart, joined today, as always, by the lovely and talented Dave Dalton. How you doing, Dave?
I'm well, thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Now that I know I'm lovely, that's wonderful. That's good.
Lovely and talented.
And
Yes.
talented.
And we are very pleased to have back former guest Makesi Duncan from DadbodCycling. Makesi,
everyone.
yeah, welcome. And if you missed the last episode, Makesi is somewhat new to cycling, and got this opportunity to do a big gravel race in Colorado, and it was the most elevation he's ever done. It was, I think, your biggest ride, if I'm not mistaken. Well, definitely your biggest ride if you combine mileage and elevation, and then also at elevation. So some big challenges. And how did it go, sir?
Wait, whoa. Time out. Couple things.
Dave always stops me.
I know, because we got him. Let's not make an assumption here. Let's not tell us, because you got a great story, Makesi. You got a great story about what DadbodCycling. Because I want to, just in case someone doesn't go back and listen, they'd be foolish not to go back and listen to the previous one. But I want to tell them, listen, tell us about DadbodCycling again. Tell a little bit about how you got into it, right? And then how you got this invite. I mean, it's crazy that, this is the holy grail. Like, it's hard to get into this thing, and you got into it, with a great cause. So I'd like to know a little bit, just help our listeners that didn't see or hear the first episode.
So from
and
the
then
beginning,
I want to know how many bikes you have now, because I see a tarmac. I'm starting to get jealous.
there is no tarmac. That's still miles. That's still miles. Let's get that out of the way.
All right. Okay.
So DadbodCycling started when I was a basketball player and football player all my life. Those injuries began to pile up. My wife started yelling at me a whole lot more. So it became time to retire contact sports. I did a little research into cycling, and then one thing a friend of mine pointed out this weekend is that I have an addictive personality. If I'm into something, I'm all into something. So I researched the gear, I researched the bike. I had an entire list of what I need to be an actual cyclist. I wasn't going to be out there in a t-shirt and basketball shorts. So I researched the kits, I researched clipping in, I researched all those things. I was 240 pounds at the time, of a football linebacker body, but I just fell in love with cycling. After my first ride, I didn't tell you guys about this. My first real ride was 8 miles with 1,000 feet elevation. So I didn't know what elevation was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, okay, these hills are going to add up in this 8-mile route. So I died on that first ride. From there, it just became life. Cycling became life. I created DadbodCycling. I dragged my brother along with me, dragged a few friends along with me, and it's been going from there. I also started the charity aspect of DadbodCycling for the Change the Cycle fundraiser, and that's going great so far. And it's just been great. That was the start of it.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And then let's talk about your invite to the SPT Gravel, and how did that all come together for you?
So in December of 2022, I follow this guy, Marcus Robinson. We follow each other, and he shot me a DM saying, hey, I run this program called Ride for Racial Justice. We do a gravel race in SPT Gravel. You should apply. My reply was, I don't have a gravel bike. One word, apply. I've never ridden gravel before. One word, apply. Who am I to say no at that point? Clearly, he knows something I don't know. So I applied. I found out around my birthday, January 15th, that I got it, and just started training from there. I went from 240 pounds down to 210 by the start of August. The race was August 20th, and it just went from there.
Yeah. So do you feel like you were already on a trajectory of losing weight, getting fit. Do you think that having that event on the calendar, you think that really put a little extra fire under you?
Oh, that definitely lit the fire. And one
Yeah.
thing I realized about myself is that I need to have an event, a goal in mind, something that I'm training for to get to this, to push myself. If I don't have anything on my calendar, then it's easy to just it's easy to get comfortable. And I don't want to be comfortable. I want to do
Yeah.
things to make me uncomfortable. If I'm
Yeah.
comfortable, I'm not trying. That's
Well,
something I've learned about myself.
yeah, it's something we talk about all the time on the podcast is, motivation. There's motivation and then there's discipline, and then there's different personality types. I too have an addictive personality. Oh, hey, Dave, you're back. Yeah. Uh,
What did I miss? What did I miss?
everything. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, it was a good show. Thanks.
Yeah. You missed the answer
My
to
question.
your question, but we're just kind of talking about having an event on the calendar and how important that is to keep that motivation, keep that fire. And Makesi feels like that's something that's really helps him, and that's what helped got you ready. So did you have did they get you a gravel bike prior to you leaving for the event, or was it like you're going to fly into town and then we're going to set you up with a gravel bike and then you're going to go race? Is that kind of how it
So
went?
literally, I got into town on Thursday with all the other Ride for Racial Justice teammates, and we're in the airport, and everyone has a bike bag. Everyone has their own bike. We're in Denver, and we have to drive 4 hours to Steamboat. I'm just book bag and suitcase. I don't have a bike.
Yeah.
We get to Steamboat. We get to the resort, well, the hotel, and that's the first time I see my bike on Thursday night. I still don't ride.
Yeah.
We have a skills clinic on Friday morning with Neil Henderson from Wahoo. That's the first time I ride the bike.
Oh, okay.
That's my first time ever on the actual gravel bike. We're not on gravel yet until we have a shakeout ride at 3 p.m. that Friday. That was my first ever time on gravel, first ever time on that bike, really testing it out. So that was it. I had maybe 4 hours to get acclimated to the bike.
Okay. Right.
Wow.
And what was the clinic like with it was Neil Henderson? Is that what you said from Wahoo?
Yep.
Yeah. What did he just kind of go over the basics, or did you guys go out and pedal together, or how did that go?
So we had a parking lot and cones. That was it. So he pretty much just talked about cornering, how to handle descents, how to pick your line, riding in a crowd on gravel, like certain little nuances that you wouldn't have if you haven't done gravel before.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 28 of us. I would say 25 or 26 have gravel experience. And myself and two others didn't have gravel bikes. But it was just to get really acclimated to the difference between riding on road and riding on gravel.
Right. So with the Ride for Racial Justice, there were 28 people. Is that right?
Yeah.
That came.
28 or 29.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
You
So
know,
a bunch of new friends. Yeah.
It's funny. A dear friend of mine, did SBT, right? And she was telling me, oh, it's such a great vibe. It's so inclusive. There's riders of all kinds there. She mentioned some other group that was there, and she said, and they had Ride for Racial Justice there. And I'm like, I know, I already know that, but
Yeah.
that, it was kind of cool. She was saying, because when she said it was inclusive, very inclusive environment, very welcome. And then racial justice, it was like kind of just spoke to what you stand for. So I thought it was pretty cool. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, all right. Yeah. When is Wahoo somehow affiliated with the Ride for Racial Justice? How did that come about?
So
Or is
they're
that just
sponsored by, well, actually, Neil Henderson is one of the founders. It's Neil Henderson and Marcus Robinson are co-founders of Ride for Racial Justice. So
Oh,
they're
great.
actually one of the main sponsors. When you get accepted into the program, you get a Wahoo bike computer and a heart rate monitor. along with a membership for Wahoo RGT. That's
Okay.
like their equivalent of Zwift.
So curious, we have a local guy here, Nick Blackwood, who's with Wahoo, and I know he was at SPD Gravel. And did you get a chance to meet him by chance?
No, not that I remember, honestly.
Oh, okay.
It was such a blur of events and people that it was crazy.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's so much new all at once. And
Yeah.
and let's talk about the bike. It's not like they gave you like some, you know, also ran kind of hoopty that somebody had in their garage. This was like it looked to be brand new Cervelo with it looked like top end SRAM red
So
mullet
it
setup.
was the actual this is why he wasn't worried about me not having a gravel bike, because this was Marcus Robinson's extra bike. So the guy that runs it, we're the same size, we have the same. I didn't even have to really adjust anything on the bike.
Wow.
If it was one thing about it, it fit perfectly. I felt completely comfortable on every aspect. They told us to bring your seat and bring your own pedals. I didn't even change the seat. I didn't change the pedals. Everything fit perfectly. It was a Cervelo Caledonia with SRAM red. What's the name of the tires? Gravel King tires. Just beautiful. It was an amazing bike.
Yeah, you set up like a boss.
Yeah, I'm rolling through the expo on this just fancy bike, and everyone's like, nice bike, nice bike.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm about to go kill myself right now.
Exactly.
So since it's a bucket list item, tell me about the vibe leading up to the event. It's must have been pretty cool atmosphere, right?
You feel like a superstar because everyone's like, oh, we love your team. We love what you guys support. We love everything that you guys stand for. We had a panel where we spoke about inclusion and everything to do with Ride for Racial Justice. I spoke on the panel along with two of my teammates, and it was great. It was so overwhelmingly positive in every aspect. So the lead up itself, we had 2 days of expo before the race, and it was just this was my first real like cycling expo. So to just like go around to all the booths, meet all the manufacturers, look at all the bikes. I got to meet people from Instagram that I've only talked to online. Just meeting them in person was an amazing feeling. It was great.
Yeah. And I'm sure you probably got some swag too.
Oh yeah. I've got more water bottles than I can count now.
Yeah.
I think I just ran out of nutrition from SBT. I had 3 weeks of gels and hydration and everything you can think of. So
one of those trips where you need another suitcase to come back with, right?
Exactly. I don't know how I packed all that stuff into my suitcase.
Right.
Yeah. So now, was this your first race? Yeah. Or did you? Yeah. So many new things all happening all at once on the starting line. So you're lining up, and what are you feeling before the gun goes off?
I said this to one of my teammates. I was oddly calm. There were no nerves. I wasn't overly excited. It was just like everything went quiet.
Yeah,
You're in this sea of people. You're looking around. Everyone's excited. Everyone's chattering, and my heart rate was just like,
yeah,
smooth across the board. I don't know why. I don't know how. I should have been nervous. This is my first race. This is my first real time on gravel, but it didn't phase me. Not to sound cocky or anything. I should have been nervous. I should have been scared, but it was why I was there. Like I did all this training for this moment. So what am I to be afraid of?
Yeah. It's a good mentality if you can hold on to it. Did it change when someone said on your mark, set, go?
No. Wow. A huge smile on my face.
Yeah.
Huge smile on my face. My smile didn't go away until things started to go wrong. That's when my smile went away.
Well,
Yeah.
I also think that I harp on this a lot about the vibe around gravel, but that is a big difference. Like if you're lining up, maybe you've never done one, but you're lining up for a road race or you're lining up for a crit, you're squeezing your tire, make the tire pressure, you're going through everything in your head. If you line up for a gravel event, people are like leaning on the fences and they're talking and it's just it's different. It's a different starting line. It's a different starting atmosphere. So it can be pretty calming just to be at a gravel event like that, especially since you're not with the elite guys that are really actually racing it to try to win
Yeah,
it. So it's
exactly.
almost
I'm not lined up in the front trying to do it in 4 hours. In my head, it's like survive and finish. That's what you're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Right. It's the right
that.
approach for sure. For some reason, I'm a pretty talkative guy. I don't know if you guys know that about me, but, just before a race, a lot of times there's like, a lot of chatter and stuff. I just get quiet, get in my head, just try to focus on, just keeping, the heart rate low, just stay calm. I strive for that. I don't always achieve it. And then once the gun goes off, chaos happens for me. Yeah. I always think, oh, I'm going to be, just kind of play it close to the vest. I'm not going to go too hard too soon. And then like the first break that happens, I was like, oh, okay, damn it. And then yeah. So sometimes it works out. A lot of times it doesn't, but,
I'm kind of with you, Makesi. I just try to temper my expectations and it just calms me and then I can get going. So all right,
yeah.
so the gun goes off and now you start to roll.
Pretty
And
much. So my friend Chris Berry, I nicknamed him the singing cyclist after the trip because the guy knows every word to every song you can imagine.
Wow.
So we said, okay, we're doing 100 together. We're going to stick together. As we get off and there's like a little bit of paved road before you get to gravel, but as you get into the actual gravel of the course, it's hard to be stressed or frustrated because you're looking around and there are these beautiful mountain ranges after every climb, after every turn. So we found each other just saying, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
I said, wow, look at this at least 150 times throughout that entire race because it's nature at its finest. It's like, this is why we ride bikes outside to get to places like this.
Yeah.
So I kept that calm for at least the first 20 miles while we were riding until we got to the first rest stop. That's pretty much when that calm went away.
Yeah. So what replaced the calm?
Yeah, what happened?
So this is when, right before we got to the first rest stop at 20, my rear ETAP battery died. We're like, okay. And I'm not a person that rides electronic shifters, so I'm not really that knowledgeable about it. So he told me, okay, just switch it to the front. Cool. Okay. I'm in my small ring for the entire race. Again, I'm not racing, so it's not a big deal. Go from there. But at this point, the sun is up and it's feeling like 103 degrees. I take a shot of pickle juice, which was in retrospect a bad decision because I don't like pickles. I hate pickles.
Yeah, time out. You said this time out. The sun was coming up. What time did you guys roll?
We started at 9.
Okay.
So the sun is on full blast. This is about maybe 11:30. The sun is truly just beaming down at this point, and that's when I start cramping. This is when the first big climb starts, and that's when the cramps begin. That's when I pulled out a scratch packet and just take it straight to the head.
Oh, that's your hack, right? Just so you
Yeah,
take
that's
it
my
right.
hack.
Okay.
I told him, okay, don't wait for me. I don't want to mess up your day waiting for me. If anything, push comes to shove, I'll catch up. I never caught up.
Yeah.
So from mile 20 to 30, I'm with one ETAP battery and I'm cramping. I get to mile 30 and we're on like a single track sand path and someone gets spooked right in front of me and stops completely. So I swerve off to the right hit a ditch and fly 15 feet over the handlebars.
Oh,
All I
geez.
remember seeing is, all I saw was sky, ground, sky, ground, sky, ground, sky, ground. And I'm just laying there like, okay, this isn't broken, but it hurts. This isn't broken, but it hurts.
Oh,
All right,
boy.
my elbow, my knee, my hip. I look at my hip. I can see blood through my kid. Like, okay, that hurts, but it's not broken. Nothing's broken. The bike handlebars are flipped down now, but I have my multi-tool on me. In my mind, it's like, if I can fix it and keep going, okay. But at this point is when I text my big brother, like, this isn't working out, man.
Yeah.
I'm hurt. My E-type battery died. My wrist is hurt. And my wife yells at me. She's like, now she yells at me. Why did you text your brother and not me?
Yeah.
Because I know my brother is going to tell me, shut the hell up and keep going. His quote was, you're hurt, not injured. Keep pushing.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's him calling me and saying, don't be a punk. Keep going.
All right. Yep.
So I make the decision to just keep going. I make it to the next rest stop at 50 miles. They poured cold water down my back, and that's when I realized all the cuts and bruises all over my body.
Oh, boy.
Oh
So,
no.
so that was shoulder, hip, back, both knees, and both ankles. But at that point, it's just like, okay, I popped some ibuprofen. I got to 50, 50 more. What am I going to do? 50 more, keep going. That's when the second E-type battery dies, and I'm single speed. So from mile 50 to 72, after got no shifting, I'm able to text the guy, Chris, that was with me. He says there's a mechanic at 72 at the third rest stop, which is 72 miles. Get there and he's got extra E-type batteries for you.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
the glimmer of hope in my mind to keep pushing. I'm like, get to 72, 50 to 72, climb these hills, just get there. I get there and it looks like they're packing up, about to leave. Someone actually recognizes me and he's like, hey, aren't you Dadbod? I'm like, are you the mechanic? He says, no, he's in the car right there about to leave. Luckily, I get those extra batteries and that was just like
Oh, yeah.
the reignition of a dead engine.
So
Yep.
what gear were you stuck in?
I don't even know. It wasn't it wasn't my smallest and it wasn't my largest. I was
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Okay.
It was enough to get me down the scents fast enough and enough to get up to a certain point of hills without absolutely dying. But then I got to that point and it's just like, it felt like a fixie trying
Yeah.
to go uphill
Pedaling
constantly
squares.
over and over and over. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But having the new batteries itself, that was such a reinvigorating feeling. Oh,
For
I
sure.
skipped when I cried. I cried at mile 60 out of just sheer, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I got past 50. I'm at 60. I just need to get to 70. It was that halfway point of, I think it was the realization of there's no going back now.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I'm quitting at 60. I'm going to finish this no matter what.
Yeah.
But I get to 70 and they're like, okay, you got here 30 minutes before the time cut off and the sun is going to start going down at a certain point. So that's just like, go, get
Right.
going. Luckily from at mile 72 is like a little road portion. So that's when literally I have this huge smile on my face. I don't know why. I don't know why
You
I'm
got
smiling.
gears.
I guess that was it.
Uh,
I don't know why I'm smiling. I don't know why I'm singing. I don't know why I'm happy at this point because I'm genuinely
Because
hurt.
you're out of your mind is what you are at this point. Yeah.
That's it. Pretty much, there's a screw loose.
Yeah.
I admit I have a screw loose.
yeah.
There's something wrong with me. I
Are
should have
you
quit.
are you alone or are there other riders around you?
So at certain points, like I'll pick up maybe two or three here and there. I'll get past some, they'll catch up, same thing. But maybe two or three people. for about a 10-mile portion, if
Yeah.
even. But for most of this, after my friend Chris left, I was solo. I did
Yeah.
pretty much, I would say I did 70 miles of this by myself.
Dang.
So I think that was pretty much just a mental battle within my own mind, which I think all cyclists do,
Yeah.
even if things are going good or bad. You're in your own head of you're pushing yourself. There's no one around you. There's no one in front of you, no one behind you. It's you and yourself and your bike. You're either going to do it or you're not.
Well, in a way, it's best that you're probably alone during that stretch, because sometimes, adding someone to the mix, if they're going a little bit faster than you're comfortable with, but you're trying to keep with them, there's this extra pressure, and then you ride a little bit above your threshold, and then you get into trouble later on. And then if they're going slower, then you're feeling this obligation to maybe let up a little bit. And so, I was really smart of you to let your friend go when things weren't going right for you, and then just focus on yourself. And, he's got his race to ride. You've got your, and let's get through this thing. We won't be together, but we're going to get through it, and then we can hang out after.
One thing I always hear is ride your own race. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
since I started cycling, that's something I always ride your own race, ride your
for
own
sure.
race, ride your own race. So that stuck out to me. I didn't really care what anyone else was doing around me at that point.
Yeah.
So I think you mentioned you realize there's no turning back, but like, aside from being shamed by your brother, was there anything that said, I've got to go on. I've got to go on. I was, and I say that because I was doing a back-to-back 100-milers in trying to raise money for cancer. And then the first one was a gravel event. And at about mile 45, I just started thinking about reasons to give up. And then it was like, no, I'm doing this for a reason. And I started thinking, about people I know that had cancer. And it was one of those things that I just said, okay, now I have to go on, right? I started thinking about why I was out there, and that's what got me going. But boy, I wanted to stop. So I don't know about you. Oh, you're on mute there, Makesi.
Yeah, there was some noise around me. I was just trying to keep it quiet while you were talking. So my main thing, besides my brother saying I need to see you at the end, was I'm here with a ride for racial justice. I'm here for representation. I'm here to show the gravel world that every inclusion matters. So I didn't want to be that guy that didn't finish. And then I find out at the end that every single person on my team finished. I didn't want to be that one person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I had no clue what was going around with everyone else or what was going on with everyone else, but I know in my mind, I didn't want to be the one person that didn't finish.
Yeah.
I wasn't really checking any chats or anyone else's position or anything like that, but that was one factor that kept pushing me. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Especially if I still have it in me to do it, then I have to finish.
Well, and psychologically getting the batteries at 72, like it sounds like you kind of had that moment at mile 60 where it's like, I'm doing this. But then at 72 to get the batteries, that's just like almost a tailwind at that point. It's like, oh yeah, now I've got everything I need. There's no stopping me at this point, right?
Yeah. So I look back at my GoPro footage and I didn't even realize I was recording, and I'm just like yelling and clapping, let's go. I'm screaming on the road. I'm by myself. That energy that I didn't have for 20 something miles just all came rushing back to me. And like my wrist still hurts at this point. Like my wrist was seriously injured. There's no way I should have been able to finish.
Right.
But nothing hurt at that point. It was just finish.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been there where you're injured. Go ahead.
You're at mile 75. You're singing, you're clapping. What's going on now? Walk us through the last 25 miles.
At that point, my wife texts me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yep." Mile 72. I sent her this big picture of me with a big cheesy smile on my face, and it's just keep going, keep going. And I keep wondering, people keep talking about this Cow Creek thing at SBT. I'm like, have I passed Cow Creek? Did I just not know about it? No, I didn't pass Cow Creek yet.
Uh-huh.
Nor did I pass this thing called Mount Butter. Mount Butter is this huge climb that just, I've never seen a climb like this in my life because I'm not a climber. I probably avoided climbs like this. And it just kept going and going and going. And I'm cramping and I'm tired. And this is when like the energy of getting new batteries is starting to drain. But I know that this is the last big climb. If I get up this climb, it's all downhill. But I cramped in places I didn't know I could cramp. Like my inner thighs are cramping from climbing, and I'm like, I played sports all my life. I didn't know I could cramp there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't
Those
know
are
how.
tough.
I get to the top. This guy gives me an Oreo. This other guy gives me a Coca-Cola, and they just let me know. These were the words that got me through. It's all downhill from here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's when I descend down the other side of Mount Butter into Cow Creek, which is this fast, speedy, rocky descent, which at this point I'm a little fearful because I already fell, but I also look over to the left at the horizon and the sun is going down. I don't have any lights at all. All I have is my rear Garmin radar, and those things die after 8 hours. So it's like,
Well, radar would be
I
a rear radar would be very helpful on a gravel ride in the dark because there's a lot of cars coming up on you.
I know, and they're like, okay. And I remember someone saying after Crowd Creek, it's road for 5 miles and 5 or 10 miles, and then you're there. So I'm flying down Cow Creek because one thing about me is that I'm confident with descents, even though I've never been on gravel. From that first day, I got comfortable really quickly and was able to figure out, okay, you really just have to pick a line. Once you pick your line and you're confident in your line, your skill a little bit, then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm able to fly through this area. I see one family and I vaguely hear a little boy yell, "You're almost there. You're almost done." That was that reinvigoration of, okay, I'm almost there. I'm almost done. And I get to that road part with 5 miles left, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Everything is aligned. The stars are aligned. I'm literally starting to see the stars. Get there before it gets dark. That turns into my one goal. Get there before it gets dark. I get through, and crossing the finish line, I was thinking for maybe the last 30 miles, how are you going to celebrate? What's going to be your celebration? You have to get there so you can get that picture when you cross the line.
Yeah.
And all I could do was point to the sky. Like, I don't know if you guys believe in God or your religious belief, but I point to the sky like, thank you. Because I couldn't do this without you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's all simply a blur. And I feel like as soon as I crossed the line, it was pitch black after that.
Yeah. Yeah. You go collapse somewhere. Yeah. How many hours?
Took 11 hours total. I think
Wow.
my
Yeah.
stats were 8 hours or 9 hours of riding.
Yep. That's a big day
So,
on a bike, no matter who you are, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. 11
Yeah.
hours. Yeah.
So, and what are the total stats? Mileage and vert?
So it's 100 miles and about 6K of elevation.
Okay. Yep.
That's a big day on gravel. That's a big day.
To me, that felt like 200 miles with 12K of elevation, because whoever said gravel wasn't harder than road lied to me.
Oh, yeah.
They said you'll be okay. You're training, you'll be all right. It's a completely different animal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
So,
on the road bike, you have the ability, you could just stand up, you know, things get tough. You're going up a steep hill, you just stand up. On a gravel bike, you stand up. Well, that wheel's going to spin. Now you got to figure that out. You know, you can't go to that one, but
I stand up and lean forward, and that front wheel just went.
yeah.
It was okay. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Gravel's challenging.
So it's what incredible though, if you'd never been on gravel, like, so you take this instance where this sand pit where this person locked up in front of you and caused your accident. Was there at any moment on this gravel ride that you said like, like my skills don't match up? It seems like you kind of blazed through this thing for a first time on gravel. That's no small feat.
I would say the climbing, finding the right line to climb on and be steady and consistent was something I struggled with at certain points. On the road, I can be on the shoulder, hands there, pedal, keep going. But it's more difficult on gravel because you have to find the right line. Okay, there's a rock here. I'm turning here, slowing down here. There isn't that true consistency for me to find the rhythm. And it's the technicality of it that I struggled with at certain points.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
was
got
able
you.
to,
Yeah.
the descents was something, I don't know why. I just feel comfortable descending down a fast hill. I call me crazy, but that wasn't something I struggled with at all. After maybe Friday riding on gravel for the first time, Saturday I was like, okay, this is easy. I got this. It's the climbing with the technical turning and stopping, and those are the things I struggled with.
Bless you, because because the way you're describing that descent, I think I've told Mike this before, that someday I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be called "Why Dave Will Never Win a Gravel Race." It's going to be a very short book. It's going to be because he can't descend. I'm, you know, for all my gravel riding, I'm terrible at it. So
Well, Makesi, you touched on the climbing and the technical aspects of the climbing, and that doesn't necessarily get easier over time. Maybe somewhat, but I still find myself occasionally thinking I've got the right line, and then you hit like a soft patch, or sometimes the right line is like if there's some grass off to the side, you can get in that grass and get better traction than you can on the trail if it's super steep or something. But yeah, it's something I think one of the things I always think is a great appeal to gravel is for anybody that's been cycling a long time. Gravel really forces you have to be 100% engaged the entire time, right? On the road, sometimes your mind can drift and you can not be you're paying attention, but not as engaged as maybe as you are when you're on your gravel bike. It takes real focus because you can lose traction in an instant. You can offshoot a corner. You could do that in a road bike too, but it's just a different level of engagement that's required for gravel. And that's one of the things that keeps me coming back. I know.
It truly requires that laser focus. When I was again in that Cow Creek descent, it was like I was never more focused than any other time because I know I had to go fast, but I knew that one wrong move would be another crash. If I
Yeah.
crash again, I'm done. There's no getting up from that one.
Yeah.
So it just truly took a laser focus to make sure you're on that right line at all times. You hit one big rock and that's a crash.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, congrats, man.
Thank you.
It's incredible that you were able to all the things that we described at the beginning, you overcame all of that and got it done. Sounds like your brother was a big inspiration in that.
Don't tell him that. Don't let him hear that. But he was. I truly give it to him. That message, it hit the nerve it was supposed to. And he
Yeah.
knows
yeah,
that that's how we motivate each other. That's how we've always motivated each other. I'm surprised he didn't curse at me in any way, but that
Well,
truly is something that kept me going.
you knew who to call, right? Like your wife's upset
Yeah.
with you. You didn't call her, but she would have given you something maybe different. And that's not what you needed in that moment, right? So you knew where to go.
My wife would have had a softer, more encouraging approach of understanding and love. My brother knew to throw that hate and venom towards me. Throughout the rest of the ride, like my wife, the love I received from her definitely kept me going. Like the love and understanding that you got this, keep going. Okay, great, good job. You're almost there. It was two different factors from two different sides of the coin, and I feel like I needed both. But definitely that time I needed the hate and venom from my brother to piss me off.
Yeah.
It-
Right.
It's probably best that you sent your wife the picture of your smiling face versus versus the torn kit with the blood on it. That might have changed the tone a bit.
Yeah.
She didn't see any scars until I got home.
Well, out here in Makesi, we have this ride. It's called the Death Ride. It's the tour of the California Alps, right? And the first time I did the Death Ride, I did it with a bunch of buddies, and the plan was we were all going to ride together, and then that evaporated really quickly, and then it was just kind of like ride your own race, like we were talking about. And there was a point though where I'm really having a hard time. It's super hot. Up to this point, I'd never done a ride like this before, and I'm coming up on these two guys riding side by side, and just ahead, I see their families are like cheering them on, and the guy stops and gets a hug and a kiss from his wife. As I'm riding by, I'm just watching that going, oh man, what I would do for that right now. So sometimes, yeah, I think having both is a good balance, right? You get that fire in your gut from your brother, and then the love and encouragement from the wife. Yeah, that's pretty great way to do it.
So would you go back and do it, or is it a one and done, or would you say to your wife, hey, for Christmas I want a gravel bike? Like, are you into it?
So I came back and I made a list of races and events, and there are more gravel races than road races at this point. I still don't have a gravel bike, but at this point, I understand within myself, put it out there and something's going to happen. I don't know how, I don't know when.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
Yep.
If it doesn't, I'm going to make it happen at some point. So I've signed up for, I believe, not signed up. I've listed 4 or 5 gravel races that I want to do next year already.
Yeah.
And SBT is definitely, it's circled and it's starred, because after the nostalgia wore off of, yay, I finished, it's like, you didn't finish the way you wanted to, though. You finished. You didn't finish strong. Like, I have unfinished business with that race at this point.
Yeah.
And people ask me, like, are you going to do the black course, which is the 140? In my mind, no, I have to dominate this blue course. This blue course and I are rivals for the next year, because that's what I'm training for, to go dominate within myself, within my own personal record. There's no way in hell it's going to take me 11 hours again to do that.
Yeah.
We're always our own worst critic, but I'm listening and I think you finished strong, man. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and it's good to have that, to have that motivation, right? You're gonna now you're driven, and to get back to SBT and to just lay waste to that 11 hours and, come in with a, that'll be fun for you personally, just to kind of see where you can go in a year's time. And also, you know so much more about what to expect. Well, you were flying blind into it, Mount Butter, all these things. It's like, yeah, you just don't know until you're in the trenches and doing it. And so you just be on a much more solid footing and be ready to attack it a little bit differently next time, for sure.
Exactly. I had no clue how terrifying Mount Butter was. Like, I've heard the name Mount Butter, but I thought it was like, okay, chamois butter. That's why they name it Mount Butter, and it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're at the top of Mount Butter because it's a deathly climb that people crawl up at the end and need that encouragement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about the volunteers though, huh? At these events,
they're amazing, man.
Yeah, when you get into one of those rest stops or something, and they're just so fired up, and I don't know if it's like fabricated. I mean, they can't be that fired up for everybody rolling through, or genuinely, but they just do it anyway. They ramp it up, and it really does kind of lift your spirits and get you motivated.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I always appreciate the volunteers.
Big after party was, I mean, it's again a great vibe there, right? So you said you blacked out, but
not blackout drunk.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any benefits of the after party. Like, I got there and I think everything was like done for. Like I got
Right.
my finishing hat and I got my 2 tokens for a free beer, and I still have those tokens. They're sitting in my basement right now.
Uh-huh.
All I wanted was a bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is I had to ride back to where we were staying. So I had to
Wow.
ride an additional 4 miles back to the hotel
Oh,
right after.
the longest 4 miles of your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And when that sun goes down in Colorado, it just got cold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all the adrenaline is gone, and I'm just again survival mode. Get to a bed.
Right. So did you have to be back at work on Monday, or did you have, was the trip, it was part of Ride for Racial Justice. So they had a itinerary for you. Did it include staying beyond the event and doing any speaking engagements or anything like that? Or was like after the race, you're just free to go?
So Monday morning, our shuttle left back to Denver. They told everyone to get a flight by 5 o'clock Monday. So
Okay.
8 a.m. Monday morning, we're on this bus back to Denver to get to the airport. And that was it. That's the end of that.
Got it. Yeah.
So you're still like talking to your teammates, everyone's happy, nostalgic. And it's just to go back home right after. Luckily, I was on vacation. I was on a 3-week vacation at the time. So I got home and I slept that entire week.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Got to recover, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, let's talk about Dad Bod Cycling a little bit before we let you go. So last time you were on the podcast, I think you were about 4,500 followers. And I was going through your feed. I follow you now, and I did before the first. That's how we met. How we ended up meeting up is just the engagement with your content. But so I'm staying updated on all things Dad Bod. But I wanted to look specifically at your followers. Almost 17.2, I think, thousand followers.
I
Pretty
have
crazy.
17.9.
17.9. So what a crazy progression. I mean, it's only been a couple months. What would you attribute that to? What do you think? Is it the
I think
content, or maybe the experience that you just had with the Ride for? I'm sure all these things are probably adding to the.
one thing I've heard is that I'm relatable. I'm
Yes.
every day. I'm a father of 2. I'm a husband. I have a regular day job, but I still find time to ride my bike. Also, I'm not this supreme cyclist that can dominate every ride. I
Yeah.
struggle, and I'm very open with my struggles. Like I let people know that, hey, this was hard. I didn't just do this with ease. It turns into if I could do it, you can do it.
Right.
I'm not making any excuses. I'm bad at this. I'm not great at this. I'm okay at this, but if I can do it, you can do it. And I feel like that relatability just translates well to other cyclists who are parents, who struggle to find time to ride their bike, who struggle to find the motivation to work out and get fit. I guess seeing myself lose weight from riding a bike also motivates them in several ways. So I think it's just that relatability that's working, I guess.
Yeah.
You said that one of the haters almost got to you though.
Oh man, this dude pissed me off.
Huh?
Pissed me
Yeah.
off.
Oh boy.
I don't remember what it was.
But it was after we spoke, and then you posted something like, "All right, this one almost got me," and
He almost got he
yeah.
almost got me to reply. He almost got what he wanted. I
Yeah.
think it was stick to cycling, big boy, or something like that. No, stick to football, big boy.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
All right.
you wouldn't say this if I was standing right in front of you.
Seriously.
Why say this now? Like, why spread this negativity? I'm not doing anything to bother you. I'm riding my bike, minding my business.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's another thing, whether it be a real person or the little voices in your head, I think a lot of people struggle with that sentiment, right? And it doesn't even have to be with cycling, just in life in general, it's imposter syndrome, or, you're doing something, I got to get up and give a presentation. Who am I to do this? These voices that come up in your head that you're just constantly dealing with. So, putting that out there and letting other people see it, I think, and your response to it, it's something, like you said, it's very relatable. I know Dave and I both do a fair amount of social media, but you do a lot of speaking right into the camera, right? And so Dave, neither one of us really do that, but I think that's a big part of your appeal. One, you're a very good speaker, good looking guy, going through this transformative change of life, and you're able to express a lot of these things that everybody feels. So I think that's a big part of your success, is just going right at the camera. What was the decision that made you take that approach?
I have all these thoughts while I'm riding the bike, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Every video that I have is just things that are running through my mind as I'm riding, because I ride to clear my head, it's peaceful for me.
Yeah.
So instead of maybe journaling or therapy, I just say it. My wife laughs at me because she's like, you make these videos in like 10 seconds and you got all these views and you don't
Yeah.
even do more than one take. It's like, I guess that's why people like it. It's natural. It's
Right.
not
Exactly,
forced.
yeah.
It's not anything. I'm not acting. I'm not being anyone but myself. And also all these things I'm thinking are things other cyclists are either going through or have thought themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really authentic, and it's fun to follow along. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to your posts, and always have to turn the sound on. Although you put the words in there too, so that's helpful. Because a lot of
One
people will
reason
scroll.
I put the words, someone reached out to me and actually thanked me. They were like, they're deaf and they're thankful that I have the captions up there. And as an occupational therapist, someone that works with some deaf students, some autistic students, it was like that got to my heart, and I was like, okay, I have to
Yeah.
do this for every video now.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a video that someone can't listen to or understand or relate to in any way, because I don't put these captions up.
Right.
And I guess it just stuck.
No, that's great. I mean, that's a lot more meaningful than the reason I thought you did it. But because a lot of people will scroll, and the sound is off. And so you miss, especially with a presentation like you're doing, you're going to miss the meat of the content. Here's this guy just talking again, but I don't have my sound on. So, but yeah, no, that's great. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
we're fortunate to have you as part of the cycling community, and please keep up the good work, because that's what we need, is more inclusion and more people on bikes. So thank you. And yeah, just keep up
Thank you.
the good
Thank
fight.
you, Dave.
yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, Makesi, if they don't know already, how do people, well, actually, before we let you go, let's talk some more about the charity. Now, were you able to, last time we
Right.
were on, we were talking about potentially getting aligned with a bike shop that could help you facilitate. Has anything happened in that regard?
Well, I had a negative experience with that. Well, one negative experience. So I don't want it to really taint my experience or my reason for doing it. But I've raised a lot more money. I got up to 2,500 so far. And it's just on to the next one. I've learned that, okay, if this doesn't work with this brand or this doesn't work with this shop, I'm sure I can find another. The only thing that can stop me is me not trying. And if that doesn't work, I'm sure I'll find a way. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep reaching out to brands, I'm gonna keep reaching out to shops, and I have time. If one thing about me is that I'm not going to rush into a bad decision. I'm going to take my time until everything is lined up and perfect with the brand, with the shop, and just gonna be a perfect event.
Yeah.
How can it be negative to give bikes to kids?
Yeah.
Even
Right.
if I have to like buy full price bikes, it's gonna happen at some point. So I'm in no rush. It's going well. I'm thankful for the donations I've gotten. I'm thankful for the t-shirt sales I've been able to get to help towards that. It's like, it's a blessing to get so much support from all these people. So
Sure.
I think it'll get done in its own time.
Well, I might be able to help you. Working for Giant, I have all my colleagues around the country, and perhaps I could reach out to And are you in the Bronx? Is that right?
Yep. I'm in
Okay.
Bronx, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll see if I can do some legwork there. And, we deal with a lot of accounts, and each account kind of has their own strengths. But if you got connected with the outside rep, they would know, oh, this would be perfect for this retailer. And then maybe they can help align you with the right shop to where everybody wins. And
Great.
I'll put the word out today and see if I can get something going for you on that end.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So before we let him go, Dave, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Nope. No, I said it. Just thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
truly inspiring for what you do, but also to take on a challenge like that. Not really knowing what you're getting into and being your first gravel ride. It's inspiring, and in the message about just pushing through. You have to finish. So that's great. It's great. I do want to know.
Again,
You gave back the Cervelo. Was there any damage? And are you still friends?
we are still friends. He has his bike back. As much as I didn't want to, her name was Judy. I gave Judy back to him, and it hurt me. It hurt me deeply.
Yeah.
But
No damage after the crash?
no damage. What I did, I was able to fix the handlebars, luckily, on the trail, and it was smooth sailing from there.
Right.
Great. All right. So if they don't know how do they get how can they follow along? And you have a website, your YouTube, Instagram, whatever. I don't know what you got going on.
So Instagram is DadbodCycling Inc. And that's pretty much where I have everything focused now. I have my link tree with the Change the Cycle, GoFundMe, anything you can think of that's related to DadbodCycling is on DadbodCycling Inc. on Instagram.
Great.
Which thankfully is going pretty well.
Yeah, you think? Yeah. Cycle Jerks podcast should do so well. We're working on it though. All right. Well, thank you so much, Makesi. It's a pleasure having you on round 2. Yeah, I do want to point out also that episode 1 is our #1 listened to podcast so far.
Oh,
so
wow.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
People identify with you on Instagram, but they're also it resonates with the Cycle Jerks audience as well. So great, and wish you nothing but continued success. I do have some business for Cycle Jerks podcast before we get out of here. If you like what we're doing, you can support the podcast by subscribing at cyclejerkspodcast.buzzsprout.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Cycle Jerks Podcast. And if you have any suggestions or content specifically that you'd like to see, you can email us at cyclejerkspodcast2023@gmail.com. And if you like what we're doing, please give us a nice review. That really helps us. All right, Makesi, thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you. And we'll be following along and looking forward to your next big adventure. Thank you.
Oh, the next big adventure is the Dad Bod Challenge. So let's keep an eye on that.
Oh yeah, okay. Dang it, I was just wrapping it up, but that reminds me though. No, it's good. So tell us about the Dad Bod Challenge.
So the Dad Bod Challenge just came from an idea of overall health and wellness. Like if I have this influence and this ability to motivate people, which people have the same effect on me, I just wanted to put it out there that we can all do it as a team. So for cyclists, I made it a minimum of 100 miles per week, 2,000 feet elevation of climbing. So the runners, 15 miles per week minimum. I wanted people to change 1 meal per day to a healthier option and meditate for 10 minutes a day. So we went from body, mind, and just teamwork. And let's see how it goes. I've had an overwhelmingly positive response so far. So let's see how it goes.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I'll try to I think I knock out most of those, but the meditation though.
Knock that out in a day.
The meditation is something that I don't do currently. And I've done some breath work and that kind of falls into that a little bit, but that's an area where I could grow a little bit. So I'll give that a try. See if I can realize any benefits from it. But all right, let's get out of here. Thank you, Makesi. We'd love
Thanks,
to have
guys.
you back on after the next adventure, whenever that might be. But always a pleasure. And everybody out there in cyber streaming land, thank you for listening and supporting the podcast.
We'll
Bye.
talk soon. Bye.